Welcome down, everybody, to Tech Talk Friday. Yes, it's the last Friday of this month of June, unfortunately or fortunately, we all still stuck at home right now because of this lockdown. Coming to you digitally on our screens and on your LinkedIn and on your Facebook and on your YouTube, whichever place you're catching us. Thank you so much for joining us here at Tech Talk Friday. It's all going to be about tech. We're going to talk to two guests today, and let's see what we unearth as we go forth in this journey of Friday tech. So, reminding everybody that Tech Talk is brought to you by Necole, and Necole being our learning experience platform, which you can get on immediately by just dropping onto Necole.app and getting your subscription. It's just for you so that you can accelerate your career, your future, your skills, and your competencies, right? So go check out Necole. And if you want to get on Necole right now, you can look at the crawler at the bottom. Yeah, there is a special promo code for you there called Roshan T Lead to get you 30% off Necole. All right. Now, with that done, we're going to get into the world of tech, and maybe let me geek out for just a quick one. For the world of tech, the biggest news right now is actually the new Windows launching. So, that's a geek out moment right there. So Windows 11, unfortunately, even though Windows 10 was supposed to be the last one, guess not. Windows 11 is the next one. So it's coming out later this year, but it was announced today. So I don't do this show alone. I do this show with an equal partner. And I don't know if this time around he's going to appear with shades or no shades, because that seems to be a running thing right now. So ladies and gentlemen, from Digital News Asia, Karamjit Singh. Oh, this time no shades now. Okay. I'm the shades are actually a dig at my very shiny head right now, because I illuminate the future. I illuminate the world. I like to think of it that way. Karam,
yes.
How are you, Karam?
Okay, not too bad.
Not too bad.
Feeling a bit in a subdued mood.
Subdued mood. Why are you in a subdued mood?
Yeah, man. No idea lah. I think maybe because of the ongoing lockdown. Although this lockdown is very different from the previous ones, right? Like people are still out and about. You see cars at 7:59 p.m. I see cars racing up and down motorbikes. So people are trying to get back home. So it is a very kind of nice and flexible, your Malaysia boleh kind of lockdown. Okay, so I wouldn't use the word lockdown,
Exactly. And you see our numbers also is like a Malaysia boleh kind of numbers. Is up and down, up and down, up and down. Let's see. Well, anyway, we got to get into the news of the week from Digital News Asia. We've got one here right now, and it's actually talking about the e-bazaar, right? Selangor's e-bazaar Raya. It actually spawned huge sales for the Selangor's economy, e-merchants. And I think we had someone from SIDAC recently as well. So what's the story about, Karam?
The CEO, Yong Kai Peng, was on the show. But look, what is really amazing here is that it obviously tells you that, e-commerce is something that is super duper valuable and effective, effective for startups. Because in this case, they organized the latest iteration of their e-bazaar, and they only gave 2 million ringgit worth of vouchers. Mm-hmm. And if you too bad, I should have asked you to flash the visual in the article, right? So that readers could see how incredible the impact was.
Let's see. Let's call out to our producer. Can you flash that?
No, if you can. But sorry, Shashi, to put you in the spot, right? But the point is that e-commerce is so effective, right? It generated like 960 so altogether 1 billion ringgit worth of multiplier effect, of which about 65 million was directly in sales, and about 955 million was from the ripple effect. So you combine together is 1 billion. So 2 million ringgit in vouchers can do that. It is stunning. And because this is a Selangor State Government digital agency, it is only for merchants who have a Selangor registered address, right? They want to help you. And what I found out from Kai Peng also, that they actually specify that they want the merchants as far as possible to be selling local products. You're not selling a vitamin, right, from Australia or from China, right? They want you to be selling as far as possible things which are made in the state. And actually, he gave an example. They had a show. They had a quick show where they had a testimonial. And this one gentleman from Sabak Bernam, apparently Sabak Bernam is not a country, okay? It is actually a province or district within Selangor, okay? I just found that for myself. Shame on me, but I'm just educating all of you so you don't get embarrassed.
I was about to ask, like, who thought it was a country?
No, I'm just kidding lah. Hey, my geography quite cow, okay? But anyway, so this party said that, look, they wanted to help people who had lost their jobs and who are underemployed. So they bought, being in Sabak Manam, they bought a bitter gourd. I got that wrong, a bitter gourd. So I said bitter. Gutter board or whatever. So that's, forget about it. So it is one of my favorite vegetables. So they bought that from the local farmers, and then his wife cooked it up, and I think it's in the form of like fried or crisp. It's a crisp. They become into the crispy form, and they were starting to sell it. And I think the WhatsApp I got said that they were literally selling like 6,000 ringgit a day. Can you imagine if you are even in the mall? Can you have 6,000 ringgit worth of sales in like finger food, right? This was amazing numbers. So I'm so happy, and they're able to help others also. It just shows you the power of e-commerce and how Malaysians have taken to it. So I'm hoping a lot more merchants, and SMEs, realize the power of e-commerce and get on there. There's a lot of data points in the article. Go and read. Otherwise, you'll get drowned in numbers if I throw them at you. Yeah. But that's the point. This is really something valuable. And the beauty of this, what Selangor is doing, is focusing on Selangor registered merchants and saying, please focus on selling, things which are made in the state itself. So, of course, food is the best, right? Selangor cannot say it is the best, company, state to make pen or to make notebooks, right? Or to make, stickers or whatever. So you stick with food, which everybody loves. So kudos to the state government, and kudos to Kaiping and his team there, and get more merchants on board. And which is nice, because it eventually dovetails with what Tunku Danny will talk about, right? In how they microLEAP is helping, SMEs also. But I know before that, we're actually going to go to go into the animal world.
My favorite world right now. Okay, so good to hear on that news. Go check out Digital News Asia, and also maybe you might find the country called Sabah Bernam with Gitterboard in there. Sorry, I had to do that. I got that right. Okay, so guys, Tech Talk Friday is also a show where your interactions are pretty important to us. Yeah. So if you're watching us on LinkedIn, you're watching us on Facebook, or you're watching us on YouTube, your comments, they'd be awesome. So if you have any questions you want to ask any one of our guests, please drop them in the comments. We'll find some time between if Karam doesn't get too heated and he's like laser focused on his line of questions, I will try to break the Karam train and ask the question that you guys asked. All right. So drop your comments. We will see it. We'll bring it up, and we'll ask our guests those questions, and you can have your piece in our show called Tech Talk Friday. With that, let's bring on our first guest. Karam already alluded to it. We're going into the world of animals, but not just typical animals. We're not talking about exact zoology here. We're talking about insurance in the animal world. So let's bring up on screen Kevin Hoong, founder of Oyen, and their ambition, actually, all right, and what they want to deliver to the ASEAN market when it comes to pet insurance. Hi, what's up, Kevin? How are you?
Hey, how are you doing? Hey, Karam, how are you guys doing?
Hi, bro. Okay, so let's get into the questions. I guess, Kevin, you've got you raised, congratulations, you raised a decent sum of money, right? And that's really a seed round, right? It's not your angel round. So it's like, let me see, it's about almost 2 million, right? 1.8 million.
1.7 million, yeah.
1.7 million. Okay. And you've got some interesting executives from Karan. It says Karan and former from Facebook, Airbnb, and is it Amazon or Rocket?
Rocket.
So clearly, these are people you've interacted with when you were with Airbnb yourself. So the question is, how has your experience with Airbnb helped you in any way as you were trying to identify the niche and into the business then and trying to do all the various things to grow the business? How did that help?
Yeah, thanks, Karam. Happy to be on this show to share my experience. So I was actually with Airbnb as one of the first employees in Asia. So I led the Asia expansion. It was a very small group of us back in the Singapore office. It was just 15 of us. But when I left, I think the Singapore office was at 300-400 people, and the whole Asia team was close to probably 1,000. So I think it's super interesting, right? When I first joined Airbnb, people didn't know us. My mom thought I was working for a bed and breakfast company. She still couldn't believe that it was Airbnb when that the company was actually that big. I had to explain to people what Airbnb was. We're not an airbed company. So, and today everyone knows them as a staple brand, right? So I think, one thing that I really learned from them was, the whole storytelling aspect of a company and how a brand can really resonate with people emotionally. So that really inspired me to want to build my own thing. Actually, even before I joined Airbnb, I really looked up to them in terms of how they tell story and how they build brands, right? Essentially, it's just an accommodation platform, but they sold it as if, they want people to belong anywhere, and they sold this inspiring stories about their business. So the other thing with Airbnb was also how they scale teams and how they build, how they build culture. A lot of people hear about Airbnb on how they've successfully built a team that can scale. And people always talk about how when you become corporate, you lose your soul, you lose your identity. But the company really look at it intentionally and how to design their culture. So everything from the hiring process, business decision really ties down to the core values and also the mission of the business. And for me, lastly, it's just how the brand relates to humans. And when I started pet insurance, it's a very emotional business because pet owners really care about their pets so much. And I think for us, it's just really inspiring, even though it's very early days. We're really hearing from the community how this has helped them a lot to ease their burden and also look at how they can really plan their pets' healthcare together with us as partners, right? So, Airbnb was a really great 5 years, but I think we need to have our own success stories here in Malaysia and also the region. So I'm really excited to just see what I can do for the community here.
Okay. And Karan, before you go on, there's something very interesting. You kind of said that about the whole storytelling thing, right? Because I'm going through this process right now with I'm part of the whole Necole team as well, and we went through sort of 8 months of thinking of how we know we have something good, but why is not people wanting it initially? Until it started changing, and we understood you're just not communicating the story well enough. And when that started happening, then now the reception is very different. So really, really very key there. So for everyone out there, it's not just having something great that you know is going to solve a problem, but how do you let people to get to know about it in the first place?
Precisely.
Okay. So how you got into this niche? So why pet insurance? And was it because I think you mentioned you had to have an emotional connect? Did you have your whiteboard and you said it must be something emotional? So you put down the word emotion first, and then try to figure out the cars. Too many people doing cars, motorbikes.
I mean, of course, a few things have to come together, right? We didn't want to just go into another motor insurance business and not stand out, right? We want to really find something that is still greenfield, and the infrastructure is not built yet. And the consumer is still not, the segment is still not developed, but it's also an increasing trend, right? So actually, when you look at pet ownership in Southeast Asia, we're probably around 65%. Malaysia, there are about 60% of pet owners, and out of which about a million are cats and dogs, right? So, and I think people don't look at this space. I mean, in the US, the pet insurance business is as big as Malaysia's property insurance. So there are enough pets insured in premium as Malaysia's property, the whole of all our property, including residential, commercial insured. So you can look at the size of how many pets are being insured today. And the reality is that the cost is just going to increase, right? You don't see people becoming vets at an accelerated level, but pet ownership is sky high. So what happens when you have a lot of people owning pets, but you don't get enough vets? It's simple supply and demand. The vet cost will go up. And I think
ticks proliferate also. I'm living with a puppy which has got ticks. And yesterday, my wife threatened to kick me out of the house because I was complaining too much about the tick. So I'm not happy. It's too emotional. Okay, these animals are too emotional.
Why did he get ticks, Karam?
Yeah.
This one is you.
So,
You're not taking
sorry, I think my audio has a bit of issue.
Okay. No worries.
alright.
No worries. So I was
you guys
just
hear me?
unloading my emotional pent up pain, frustration, not pain.
Kevin, yes, we can hear you loud and clear, but can you hear us? I think Kevin is facing a little bit of a audio issue hearing us. So as Karam releases
Hey guys,
his
can you guys
pent up
hear me?
emotion, but yes, Kevin, can you hear us? All right.
Oh, he can't hear. Okay.
This is where when technology comes into play. We
Sorry,
have to
yeah.
sort
So,
of.
like I was
awesome.
saying,
There you go.
yeah, like I was saying, with people looking at their pet health care costs, I think more and more people are planning for it in advance, right? Because they want to know, and I think we fit in just nice when pet ownership has increased during the pandemic. People are adopting more and more pets, and they want to manage the costs of vets, like any other risk that you experience, whether it's your personal risk or your motor risk. You want to manage it. So we want to be able to serve this community so that they don't have to worry so much about what might potentially come and whether they have to decide between their savings and their pet's life. That's a very hard decision to make. So I think that's where we saw the opportunity and went in there. And look, insurance is a huge industry. It's $5 trillion globally. And in Southeast Asia is about $100 billion. And yes, we're starting out at a really niche segment, but it's a segment that will grow, and it's a segment that is untapped. So
so how come it is untapped? I'm surprised, Kevin, that you guys say you are the pioneers in here. How come nobody saw this opportunity?
So and Kevin, just for clarification, when you say pets, you mean all pets, right? Because most people default to dogs and cats, but you're talking about all pets, right?
Iguanas, whatnot,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, so we only insure cats and dogs for now, because standpoint, those are more predictable, right? And they have a longer lifespan, right? So I think one of the reasons why this product hasn't really kicked off. I mean, we're the first digital player, but there have been insurance companies that try to do themselves. Now we all know how the ability of corporate companies are when they build 0 to 1 products. Right? When was the last time you heard an insurance company build a product from 0 to 1 and was very successful? It's just because they are too big to iterate, right? They might launch a product, but they don't iterate. They don't talk to customers. They don't look at growth hacking models. They don't build a digital product that can scale. So that really is why the reason the product hasn't really took off. So we saw that opportunity, and we know that we can move faster and more nimble than them, right? So I think in a period of less than probably 2 months, we probably way exceeded what they did. In a longer period of time. I can't share the exact numbers, because we move faster. We created a brand that is unique to pet owners, so that people don't think about your brand as like, oh, you're MSIG, oh, you do like 20 other products. I can't relate to you at all, or you can't relate to me. So I think that's really where we have found our little, our corner. But we strongly believe that this corner will just grow. And what's after insuring pet, when you have helped them with their most valuable companion or most valuable asset, they will insure everything else with you because they trust that you can take care of their pets. So you really build a strong customer brand and customer loyalty from there.
Interesting, yeah. When you said they will insure everything else, you mean what? Non-pet related or?
Exactly. Non-pet related, right? Because the infrastructure and the principle of insurance is the same, right? You collect premium, you underwrite the risks. When there is a claim, you identify the risk, you then pay the claim, and then you renew, right? So that whole journey needs to change because everyone hates insurance today. Don't tell me, I don't think I've ever met somebody who said they love their insurance experience. They love claiming it. But what we want to be is we want to build that beautiful experience where you can get paid in hours. One day, hopefully we can get there. And we don't ask you 1,000 questions before you submit your claim. So once we can do it for pet, we can do it for others. We can do it for your homes. We can do it for your cars maybe in the future. So doing this with Oyen gives us a chance to rebuild what is the right insurance experience, not what has been built 50 years ago and it doesn't work anymore. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just another question about first to market, because obviously if you are first to market, How important is that? Because you used to hear of this a lot, and I realize I don't hear of this very often anymore. Is that so important, or is it the customer experience much more important and sticky than first to market?
Can I say both?
Yeah.
I'm a bit greedy, but I think they come hand in hand. And first to market is definitely important. What the main advantage for us is speed. So if we don't leverage on speed, we're no different than a corporate. So I think it's very important for us to start planting our flags, right? Even in the next markets or even in this segment. But we don't do it in a way that is unscalable, right? Like we don't burn money, or like we don't do things that is illogical, or we don't ruin the customer experience.
Yeah.
So that's when the customer experience part comes in. We think that we can grow sustainably by creating beautiful customer experience, and they will then talk about us. So that will fuel growth. So I think it's like a few things coming into place, but Karam, we launched in end April and we raised 2 weeks ago, and now we want to hit our first $1 million as fast as we can. So I think speed is utmost important, especially with the current climate where everything with digital insurance is changing very fast, digital banking. We want to position ourselves in front of these other big competitors. And hopefully that will tell a great story to our investors or future investors or customers as well.
Right. And
You've-
Karam, I
are
think
you-
you got what? You got a question here, right? Like you go ahead with the question first. I've got something that is coming after that.
How soon are you hoping to raise the next round? Is it constant now? You've learned that you got to start engaging in the next round already, or you're going to wait till you hit, like you said, $1 million US, did you say, or $1 million ringgit?
US.
$1 million US in revenue or in premiums?
Premium.
Okay, in premiums, right? And then only you're going to kickstart the next round, or?
Yeah,
How is
so
that?
actually, from our previous fund, it was initially just supposed to be an angel round, right? So it was just some executives, and then we started to get a lot of interest. So I actually exceeded the amount that I wanted to raise.
Okay.
And I just didn't want to delay it anymore because it can be very distracting. You get one investor after another due diligence, and so I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole. I just want to close enough for the next 1 year for us to grow. But then towards the end, we got a lot more interest, right? Especially with the fundraising news. Everyone just wants to understand our vision, our business model. So I think definitely there's no hurry. We have 1 year of runway, actually more than 1 year, but we aim to have the next discussion a year from now because we want to hit some key milestones, right? Because a lot of people question, okay, is the market size big enough?
Yeah.
Is that big enough of a market? So we need to tick that. We need to really prove to them that, yes, it is increasing. People are spending more on pets, and people are actually buying pet healthcare insurance. The second thing is also how scalable is our model? Will you be able to do this in the next market, right? So that's also important to validate. So, being able to design something for these next markets is super important for us. So even testing out and having a few projects in place, or rather launch plans in place, is super important. And then the third one is also looking at our moat. So what will make us unique? Because everyone can build the next one and then they compete with you. So there are strategies in place, plans in place for us to build this moat. I think this lies in the ecosystem that we want to build with our healthcare providers, so the vets. I won't go into too much details, but basically we want to be the category leader, own the ecosystem, so that whenever people think about pet healthcare, it doesn't have to be insurance. We can go into things like preventative care, and effectively we want to be the AIA or Vitality or Prudential Pulse for pet healthcare. So of course that's we need to show these indicators to tell the story for our next round before we rush to it, because we also don't want to dilute ourselves without the right story. So I think that's the plan for us, and also getting on board the right kind of investors.
Right. And, okay.
Very big goals.
Now,
very big goals you got there.
Yeah. So the last question would be, sorry, you want something before I ask the market, the ASEAN play?
So I think it may lead into your last question as well, because when you were mentioning about speed, right? And especially nowadays in the tech space, you have very innovative companies or very innovative people like you who rely on speed to do all these kind of things. And you're absolutely right. The big juggernauts, the big corporates, they are less risk averse. Or you can view it as they think that there's a lot of the user out there who's going to take all these risks and do things quickly. We'll watch. And once that gets proven right, we're going to throw a lot of money at it. And we're going to launch the exact same thing or acquire the people who are doing it, right? So probably this will lead into Karam's question as well. Do you have the fear of this, and what are you going to do about this? And Karam was probably going to ask you something to do with market share, right, Karam?
Yeah, ASEAN, your ASEAN play. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that there will always be this threat. And you know what? I welcome these, because when they signal that they want to get into it, means you're doing something right. Which is why, going back to building a moat, right? What is that moat? What is that moat for us to differentiate ourselves or really fend ourselves against all these competitors? But for us, these big players, the key thing is that, do you know insurance? I think there's a very interesting intersection here that we're in. One is we built a very strong consumer brand, and we know how to build consumer businesses. So like, this is my experience from Airbnb, from Homage, like the previous companies. The other part of it is being an insurance professional, right? Like, you got to have your principles right. You got to have your certification. You got to know this, because you are in a regulated environment. So of course, to find somebody who can do this both is quite rare. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think for somebody to be able to merge these two principles, it's going to take a very small percentage of people can probably get into this space. So that means that we have to take advantage of our lead, and building that moat is important. And that's why the fundraising story to move fast is also very important. But we do know that there will be a lot of contenders for this space, right? When you look at the digital banks, I mean, think about the last time a banker tried to upsell you insurance. It's a very, very common distribution channel. But then when you look at even the digital banks today, a lot of them want to get into insurance, but do they know how? Maybe they don't know, but maybe they want to partner. So this is really where we could come in place and fit into this whole landscape, and we will be in between the incumbents who are big. They have but they are running out of ideas. They might want to work with us, or they might want. Digital banks might want to work with us. So I think it's quite exciting how if you can control the end-to-end experience of customer, meaning you're not just an aggregator, you're not just like a price comparison, you own the customer experience end-to-end, people will want to work with you.
Right. All right. That's great to hear, Kevin. And really, it's interesting to see where this journey is going to go for you, because really exciting stuff that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, Kevin, we're going to move on to the next guest, but don't go anywhere. We're going to bring you back at the very end. Thanks so much for joining us and giving us this story of what
Thanks for hosting.
No problem. See you in a bit, Kevin. So, time to move on to the next one. And Karam did mention about this just now, about this guest that is going to come on. But please do apologize us, because we were facing a little bit of a technical issue. So he's only going to join us on audio. You won't be able to see him, but perhaps you want to see him on LinkedIn and imagine his face and imagine him talking. So to talk about bridging, and Karam alluded to this with the story from that Selangor E-Bazaar Raya thing, right? Bridging the funding gap for SMEs, right? So let's talk to the CEO of microLEAP, Tunku Danny Mudzaffar. So can we have him on? All right, there you go. See, he's got his picture there.
Yes. Sorry, this iOS Safari is sometimes not friendly with a lot of these applications. So you just have my salty voice at the moment, and you don't have my ugly-looking face moving around. But you have my picture, so it's okay.
Yes, we can imagine you through that picture. And before we start asking you questions, Danny, I want to also shout out to our guests who've been commenting on the site so far. We have Amit and Roshan, who's doing some little bits on the comments area right now. But to everyone out there, if you want to have, or you've been thinking of asking Danny some question for a very long time, you know him or you've been watching what he's doing, now is the time to ask the question. So let's ask the first question. Karam, go ahead.
Okay. So I guess, this SME market is obviously critical, right? You don't have to talk about the numbers, how big a role they play. And actually, Danny, I'm sure you've been observing in Singapore, Indonesia, players who are in this space, in your position, are able to raise quite a bit of money, and not VC money, but they like getting debt money, right? To be able to extend to SMEs, in their market. So, what signal does that send to you?
Well, I think it's the market size. Obviously, Indonesia is huge. A lot of money is going to Indonesia because it's the largest market in Southeast Asia. So they have a lot of money coming in already. Now Singapore, the money's there already. You have big, big private banks. All the big banks are headquartered there. the money is sitting there ready to be deployed. That's why not only VC money is there, you've got private equity money, you've got people who want to invest or lend into P2P. So all the flashy cash is in Singapore. People want to go to Indonesia because it's the Wild West. They can make a huge returns. Interest rates or profit rates in Indonesia are sky high compared to banks. We're talking in the P2P market in Indonesia, you get returns of 20% per annum. Things like that, and people are borrowing at those rates. That's crazy. While Malaysia is different. We are a regulated space, which is good and bad. Regulated space in that the maximum that we can charge in terms of profit rate, because we're Sharia compliant, is 18% per annum. We do get many investors coming in, but obviously not in the size of Singapore and Indonesia, where because of the things I said above is where everyone wants to go to. But having said that, Malaysia is still a growing space in terms of the P2P financing sector in Malaysia. We as an industry raised more than 1 billion ringgit since inception in 2016, which is great. And people are getting used to us, learning what P2P is, and slowly and surely we will hit those numbers.
Okay, I think you were slowly and surely, right? But market education is still, although you say you've got about was it 3,500 or no 3,000 investors now you have, or was it's around that sum, right?
So we have about just under 2,000 investors. So in terms of investor growth, we are now looking at more quality investors, so people who are able to invest or lend in bigger ticket items. So we're looking at corporations, we're looking at institutions. We still have a strong retail investor base, but we want to diversify that base so that we can help get our investment notes funded, or our issuers or borrowers to get them funded.
Understood. So how is that going? You got any announcements coming up soon, or is too early?
So we now launched microLEAP Plus. So obviously, for those that don't know what microLEAP is, we are an Islamic and conventional P2P or peer-to-peer microfinancing platform. So borrowers can raise working capital from 1,000 ringgit to 50,000 ringgit. But we now launched microLEAP Plus, we can go up to 500,000 ringgit. So these ones were very selective. It'll be Sharia compliant financing, and we are keen on those, especially during this environment, who can get finance short term. So perhaps they have an invoice, they need purchase order invoice. So basically, they have a large invoice, they need to buy the stock, and then they sell it, right? So we successfully funded a 350,000 ringgit kind of invoice financing last week for 6 months, and then today we just closed another 300,000 ringgit short-term 2 months purchase order financing. So this is slightly more secure and moving towards the SME space. But having said that, we're still helping the micro enterprises, so we're still looking to finance them.
Of course. So I think it's without the doubt the supply chain invoice financing is a big space to get into, but I think you formed and you started with the strong desire to help SMEs. So and that's obviously still a big focus there. While this other new space looks exciting, right? But the main core mission still remains to fill in the gap, because there is still a gap, right? No matter how many people are coming in, there's still a gap with a lot of your machi and pachi, entrepreneurs who could need 5,000, 6,000, goes a long way to helping them. And the article video on you had that great example of that machi in Johor, right?
Yeah, so she's a live example. So she sells pisang goreng in Johor. So she was 30-year business, making money, but she only set herself up on SSM 2 years ago. Now she went to all the banks, and the bank said no. The only reason was a technicality, because there have to be 3 years worth of track record before you can get a bank loan.
Yep.
So it's crazy. So she came to us. For us, only needs 6 months in operation, and she wanted about 40,000 ringgit, and she got her financing in under 2 weeks. Which is
in under 2 weeks on your platform.
Yeah,
wow.
On our platform. Yeah. So for us, it's the speed and the ease of getting finance, but the trade-off is the profit rate or interest rates. So our profit rates are higher than the banks.
Okay. So that's really good, because I think yesterday, day before, I was speaking to somebody who is in the F&B business,
right.
And Kevin was talking about creating a moat, right? To cement, strengthen his play. These guys are in the F&B business, and two of them were in different parts of the F&B business, and they realized that you need to have a complete ecosystem, because there are still so many gaps, and I think the entrepreneur prefers to deal with one party. You are the face, and they bring in people, and part of it is the financing part. I think the sixth, they're trying to offer 6 services. The sixth one is the microfinancing, because then when you have data on them, as they're using your platform, to get orders in and all, you can have visibility, and you start offering them, a small loans, and because they, like you said, they fall between the cracks. So it's interesting to see that the entrepreneurs in the various verticals are trying this space also, and you are across all verticals. You are also offering the space. So how soon before? Because I think you're educating the market then, right? At least the micro entrepreneurs realize that there are platforms like you out there to help them. But how, as you're creating market awareness among investors to come in, how is the awareness with your typical mud sheets, right? Like I don't know whether her name was there or not, right? The lady's name, but it's, I think, Pisang Goreng Bunpah, correct? So how many of these micro entrepreneurs know about people like you, that they are now beginning to approach you, or you think that's still a 1 year, 2 year education journey?
I think the education journey is still ongoing, but because of that, what we are now trying to kind of bring in is this similar to the government's hashtag Kita Jaga Kita concept, right? So on our platform, we want to do this referral program where investors can refer issuers who need the financing, and the issuers can refer investors. So we get a big community of people who can help each other, finance each other, and grow from there. But yes, in terms of education, it's still a long way to go. But we are slowly getting there. I mean, last year we had huge plans to go on the ground, turun padang with the Securities Commission. They had lots of plans, but obviously now we can't. So that kind of pulled us back on face-to-face meetings. But we are getting there. I mean, we were even though we were one of the young P2P operators, we were the first to have a borrower in every single state of Malaysia.
Wow, every single state, even Perlis. Well done.
Yeah, Perlis, we got Sabah, we got Sarawak, well, a lot of the other P2P operators, they like to focus on the KL Selangor area. So we really want to help the whole of Malaysia.
Right. So Danny, I've got a curious question. Like, how did you bridge that gap? Because, when you're talking about microfinancing, something reminded me of an old life I had. And when you said P2P, it's an old life I had. I worked in a fintech before, and we were trying to approach countries like Indonesia for P2P services because it's huge, right? And just recently, I was also talking to these guys in Myanmar, Maha Agri, who also deal with microfinancing for farmers. But the business of microfinancing, especially P2P, there's this perception that it is in developing areas or developing countries where access to cash, and you said it just now with the whole loan situation, access to cash is difficult for all these micro entrepreneurs, right? So this is a model that they can use. But these areas are the most prone to shifts. So like you just mentioned about the pandemic just hit us, right? The best ways to reach these people are going face to face, seeing them, talking to them, telling them, and giving them the access to it. Now you don't have this access. And another example I'll give is the Maha Agri case in Myanmar. We know what's going on in Myanmar, and that's it. Done. So how did you bridge that gap? How did you solve your problem?
The unique situation for Malaysia is that we are ripe for digital financial services. In terms of internet penetration, we're about 87%. Smartphone penetration, we're about 78%. I mean, that is almost developed country levels, Hong Kong and Singapore are about the same. When you compare to Indonesia, they're only about 15 to 20% internet penetration, same smartphone penetration, internet penetration, same as Philippines. So Malaysia is ripe for these kind of digital financial services. So we actually reach out to them through social media. We have a social media agency which promotes our Facebook posts, Instagram, YouTube, and people come from there and find out how easy it is to apply on our platform. We don't have to set up a branch in some ulu place in Negeri Sembilan. We can reach out as long as there's internet connection. We can reach out to them. So that's how we bridge that gap. And it comes to the customer acquisition cost. For a bank, they have to build a branch right next to the people they want to help, right? People they have to fill in forms, multiple forms, come 2-3 times a week, whatever, to get an account. I tried to open an account, a corporate account in Maybank, and had to go 4 times in the space of a week.
Wow.
They are ripe for disruption by the digital banks. So for us, everything is online. You can either take a picture or scan your document, upload it on that platform, it's done. But then it comes to education. Do these makciks know how to do that? To do that, What we have found is that sometimes these pakciks has a child from university or a son and daughter who actually help them fill in and apply on their behalf. So we're happy that at least they have that family and community to help them to do that.
Right.
Absolutely. Okay,
great.
great.
KYC and AML over there.
Yeah, I think you mentioned a key point, right? And I think this will also relevant to Kevin, right? Having high internet penetration.
Shall we bring him on, Karam? Since we are reaching right now near 6:45, let's bring Kevin on.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Hello.
All right. There you go. So Karam, you were saying.
Actually, I want to have a quick thing about Kevin. So when I moved back from the UK in 2012, I was looking for insurance for my cat, and I could not find it.
There you go.
Everywhere, and I asked my insurance broker friend, and she said, "Why are you insuring your cat? Are you crazy?"
Well,
I was like, "Okay."
Now you know who to call.
Exactly. Now I know. So thank you very much. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Ghostbusters right now. Who are you gonna call? Kevin.
Yeah. No.
Go ahead, Karam.
Tech Talk Friday always creates business opportunities also. Okay. No, but I think so. Danny, your product is nationwide. It's not urban focus, right? It is just there's no preference region you want to focus on. Whereas Kevin, because of pets, of course, everyone around the country has pets. But do you find your current business is coming from urban customers?
Yeah, I mean, of course, because we've just launched in 2 months and a lot of activities are here, but actually we're seeing interesting interest from East Malaysia. We have customers in Sabah, Sarawak already, and we've done some keywords research before, and we found out that like Kelantan has crazy search volumes for pets, right, or cats related stuff.
Wow.
So it doesn't really mean that we're only targeting the urban population, but I think it would be interesting to know where these vet services are, because effectively, if you have a high vet network or you have a high amount of vet clinics in a certain area, that means that people are looking for treatments, right? So and I think in Malaysia we do have a certain universities that are based in I think in Kelantan or Pahang that really focuses on veterinary practices, and generally you see that there are a lot of vet clinics there as well. So we are looking forward to meeting all these vet practitioners and to understand and learn more from them as we expand our services nationwide. And it doesn't cost us anything because insurance is a contract, right? As long as we have the right networks and partners and the process flow, we can go anywhere. So that's scalable in that sense.
Okay. I guess one quick final question, and for both of you, and maybe I'll start with Danny. What is the hardest challenge you feel you are facing now? Let's say if you got 6 months of the year to go, what is the biggest thing you want to try to achieve, and what is the hurdle there?
Well, for us, obviously, is this ongoing pandemic. The fact that people are forced to stay home, forced not to spend. There's going to be a lot of pent-up spending needs, and that impacts our borrowers straight away. Your makcik in Kuala Pilah that has financed 10,000 ringgit, now they're feeling a pinch. So we are in talks with them. Sometimes their monthly payments are a bit late, but they do pay. So we have to be a little bit more credit adverse in who we finance on our platform because of this ongoing pandemic. So we have to pull back a little bit. Everyone says, "Oh, everyone needs financing now. It'd be great for you." But no, last thing we want to do is help finance a company that's going to be bankrupt in the next 2 months. So we have to take care of both the lenders or the investors and our borrowers. So once this MCO is lifted and people can walk around and start spending again, and then I think we'll be more happy.
But just a quick one, to protect your investors, you probably got reinsurance in the back, right? So there's a backstop so that they are always protected, because your reputation depends on them having a good experience, right? So you cannot mess with that. Correct, Danny?
Yes, exactly. So we have to make sure that we keep our defaults rate low. So right now it's still 0%, and we are working hard to make sure it's still 0%. So for me, the default management always starts at the credit assessment stage. So you must get the right credit on your platform right in the beginning. So you have to. That's why we are very strong in our credit checking.
Oh yeah, of course. Okay. So Kevin, the same question for you, which is, what is the key thing you need to achieve by December this year? And maybe you may say, Karam, no, I've got actually a 1 year target because you just raised funding, so yours may be 1 year, right? Sprint.
Yeah, I mean, of course, key thing for us now is, since we've found the product market fit, most important now is accelerating our growth and our acquisition. And if you're first in the market, there's always pros and cons, right? Pros is no one's doing it yet, but cons is there's a lot of education. So I think we're doing having a lot of conversations with pet owners, which are good because we learn a lot from them. But that also means that we need to spend time, right? Although we're an online platform, we have a very solid group of customer care that really helps the customer to go through this journey. And of course, from there, we want to bring down our sales cycle, because we don't want people to be, doing this for 2 to 3 weeks. But after all, it's a financial product, so they really must understand and read the conditions. We explain it to them, but can our product make it faster? Can we automate or scale some of these things so that they can learn about this upfront?
Sure.
So, and building the trust and the credibility. So, customers will ask us, how long have you been in the market, right? So we always have to, say, we're new, but we have experience and we have funds that is raised behind it, which is why I really wanted to accelerate the fundraising, because then people will also trust us that we have enough, resources to grow the business and to help the customers. So I think these are the two really key points here, and we hope that we can move fast and scale on this lah.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you very much. Good luck to both of you, man.
Yeah, good luck to both of y'all.
Thanks, Nigesh. Thanks, Karam. Yeah, really glad to be on this show.
Yeah, really glad to have you both here. Even having Danny with his handsome picture there and hearing his voice. That's all good.
Next time we will do with pets.
Next time we do with pets, exactly. We bring our pets and all that. I've got 2 dogs, but I don't think they'll be very happy to come on the show right now. But anyways, thank you to all our guests out there who are watching us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube. But there's something I want to bring up, and you guys know that this show is actually brought to you by Necole. But as part of the Necole team, one of the things we wanted to do, and we speak to different startups, we speak to different enterprises and all that. So there is a survey that we're doing at the moment. Because our dream is actually to add value into the market, growth value into the market. So when I say growth value, is that people currency, the skill currency in people. But very surely, Danny has mentioned it, Kevin has mentioned it, there are challenges right now. There are challenges that SMEs are going through, and we want to understand what those challenges are and where do you need help to bridge those challenges. So there's a link for this survey here right now, and we are going to share it across on all the social platforms as well. Just go over to the link and just drop your thoughts on it, right? It's a survey. Go through it, drop your thoughts on it. The more people do this, the more we kind of get the data, and the more we can sort of interact with everybody and try to add value into the market as well. So do help us on that. It's an initiative we're trying to do to help all SMEs out there. So drop by that link, and if you want to find out more about Necole, especially for your SMEs, drop by necole.tech. And don't forget, if you want to catch up on the tech news, not just on a Friday, but every day, anytime, go on to Digital News Asia, right? DNA, and you'll be able to catch up on what's happening on tech every day. So that's our show, people. Thank you so much for joining us for Tech Talk Friday. It's been beautiful and wonderful having you here with us in this past 45 minutes to 50 minutes or so. Moving to the weekend, have a great weekend, everybody, from Karam and myself, and also Danny and Kevin. Take care, everybody. See y'all soon. Bye
And
bye.
I'm not in a
Bye-bye.
subdued.
Have a good
I'm not in
weekend.
a subdued mood anymore. I'm in an upbeat mood now.
Awesome. Bye. Have a good weekend,
Karamjit.
guys.
Okay,
All
take
right.
care. Bye. All the best.
Bye-bye.